Hey guys, welcome back. um, I said in my previous video there about the day with Loam, I wanted to talk about a few things, but I didn't want to drown the video out. Nothing bad or anything. Just wanted to talk about me and kind of how I work up here and here, how what scents do for me. Because this one does something, and this is Loam still, but when I spray this on, it's a very comforting scent to me. And it's only been the last few years that's happened. And it's really bugging me. I can't figure out why. Like if I'm having a bit of a dull day, a blah day or whatever, I'll spray this on, or more than likely I'll put it in a couple of my diffusers and just let the smell permeate throughout the house. And it just always just pops me up a bit. But it really bugs me because normally how my brain works with my smell, I mean, to me, and I think a lot of people, smell is the ultimate in bringing back memories. Like you can go to your old house and you can look and be like, oh, that's a great, I remember that place. I remember doing this, that. And you can get some fuzzy feelings. Or you can go to your old school and, oh, yeah, I remember we used to hang out here and climb that tree and get some fuzzy feelings. But for me, it's smell. You know what I mean? Like, I walk into, let's say, my old school and, you know, I get hit by the smell of the cafeteria pizza and gravy and fries. And, or the smell of the football room, which doubled as the rugby room, which doubles as the wrestling room, you know, and I'm instantly brought back, like almost like pictures in my brain just flashing, boom, 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 of things, and then feelings just boom, 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 coming up just as fast about those pictures, you know what I mean? And it's great. I love it. And that's how smell works for me. And I can tell you, I can actually remember the first time, at least the first time I remember that happening. I was only about 7 years old. And I just turned 7 because it was the start of the summer. And my birthday's the start of the summer. And so I was just out of grade 1 going into grade 2. And my sister, who's a couple years older than me, I remember waiting for her in the last few days of school and sitting out on the deck, the steps, waiting for her to get home so we could play. And then, like I said, I was about 7 years old, and it was a weekend, so I wasn't quite in school, or I wasn't quite done school, but it was almost over. And usually when I'd wait for my sister, my mother would give me a few slices of watermelon, you know, drink a juice, whatever. And I'd sit on the step, you know, my watermelon, waiting for my sister. And this day I'm sitting in the back on the picnic table we had, little kids picnic table, plastic one. And went and got a couple slices of watermelon, and I'm sitting there eating the watermelon. I took my first bite, and the smell from the watermelon. I don't know too many people. There are some, but don't like the smell of watermelon or the taste even. Watermelon's great. And for whatever reason, that was the first time I remember that happened. I took a bite and the smell, and I remember just last year me sitting there type deal waiting for my sister to get home from school, and the feeling I had of, yeah, we're going to play, and, you know, what are we going to play today? And, you know, this and that. And that's the first time I remember that happening. So the pictures were boom, 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 boom. And the feeling was just like, whoo. I went in and got my sister, and I don't know what we played that day. We went outside and played for a few hours. Probably just more exploring. We had a big backyard with a swampy kind of area, and we'd explore in there and find things. But that's the first time I remember that happening. And ever since then, it happens all the time. I'll just be standing at work and some smell or somebody, anything, and I'll remember, bang, bang, bang. And can almost be distracting at times. I mean, maybe I'm a bit on the spectrum. I don't know. But yeah, that's how my brain works with smells. And that's why this is kind of pissing me off a little bit, because I'm getting these feelings that I get, these nostalgic, warm, uplifting feelings, but I'm not getting any of the pictures. I can't figure out why it's so nostalgic. I mean, and for me, it doesn't even have to be old to be nostalgic. Like, I have colognes I just bought or wore 2 years ago that if I smell them, and that's the nice thing about doing these videos. I love it because I'm building more of these memories every day. You know what I mean? The more I wear stuff, the more I associate it. If something happened good or bad that day, usually good, I get 2 years later, I'm like, I'll put it on or I'll smell it, or I'm cooking something, smell it, and bang, 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 bang. I'm like, oh yes. So this one isn't doing that. It's giving me the feeling, the nostalgic, uplifting feeling, but I'm not getting any of the memories. I don't know what. Maybe it's just the smell. Maybe it's just type of smell for me that is a comforting smell. There are smells like that, and I'm guessing that's what it is. But when it happens, I sit there. Every time I smell it, I sit there for a few minutes afterwards, and I'm like, what was that? Why am I so drawn to this? Nostalgia-wise. And I can't figure it out. I don't know what it is. I wish I did, but I don't. It's beautiful and gives me that fuzzy feelings, and I couldn't tell you why. Now, is there something that might have happened that I forgot? Because I have had it for years. Geez, over 10 years now. And it's a possibility, but that's usually not how I work. So, I don't know. But that's kind of the way I am, guys. The reason I like cologne so much, and I like just talking about them and wearing them, and smells in general. And it's not just colognes, it's soap. It's shampoos, believe it or not, when I had hair. Every time I smell uh, basically hairsprays, I get nostalgic pits of back when I was a kid and you were doing your hair with hairspray, and your sister especially, and we went to the Boys and Girls Club for the dances, you know. But yeah, and food's another one that, you know, I'm fat, so of course it's food. Food in general, though, not in general, but specifically certain foods. Um, and like I said, relative nachos. Making my nachos makes me think of my ex, because she used to like my nachos, and we'd eat nachos, you know, 2 or 3 times a month, and we'd watch a movie and have fun and stuff, and just a good time. And then there's pizza. Well, pizza, depending on the pizza, like when I smell convenience store or cheap pizza, I think of high school. I get visions of high school type deal, and it's great. I smell, you know, your average delivery pizza. I think of when I was a kid every time, and Dad would bring home, again, 2 or 3 times a month, Greco pizza, because when he worked overtime, they'd give him food tickets. They were called meal tickets because you didn't bring lunch for your overtime. Dad was never a big eater anyway, so he'd say 3 or 4 of them, and you can get a big family pizza, you know. And so that's how my brain works. I wish I could describe it better, but basically it's that. I smell something, I'm almost taken away for a second. Boom, 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 boom. Getting a dozen different flashes of images, and each image gives me some kind of feeling. And that's why sometimes when I spray something, you'll see me, I'll be like, ooh. And because I've got to let the images pop, especially older stuff. You see that a lot when I spray older stuff, that I'm just like, ooh. Just, like I said, it's almost distracting sometimes. And it's a genuine, good feeling usually. I mean, there's some bad ones, but we won't get into that. But genuinely, it's good stuff. And I'm like, oh, God, I want to be there again just once, you know, and experience it for the first time over again. And I'll give you a little list of some of the colognes that do it to me and why real quick. There's the White Musk from the Body Shop. That reminds me of my girlfriend through high school. And every time I smell it, I'm, visions of her and feelings that we had and things we do. And it's gorgeous. Love that feeling. Preferred Stock, My Man and Christmases. And the buddy who lit himself on fire. I talked about that. Look for it. If you want to know, let me know. I'll do a video of it this weekend and tell you the story again. But yeah, he lit himself on fire. He was fine. Chaps is one that has both good and bad memories of flashback. Ralph Lauren Chaps. Again, I did a video on that, but let me know if you want me to talk about it. Maybe I'll do one this weekend. My weekend's coming up tomorrow. Just let me know. I'll talk about all of them if you want in depth. Juke Jump. I talked about that one and how that kind of got me back into collecting and the feelings and stuff like that. And there's a dozen others. At least, well, probably a lot more than a dozen that just give me some kind of. I was trying to think of a recent one. Just Dior Sauvage Parfum, Eau de Parfum. Makes me think of me and my ex at the time. We were supposed to be my ex now, but now she is. We went shopping that day. It was we got some things and we went to a movie. And before we went to the movie, we stopped by Shoppers. She kind of surprised me, like, "Oh, do you want this one?" And I was like, no, really. I was like, okay, So it was fun. Remember the movies, smelling like Sauvage, and the fucking probably stunk in the theater because I put way too much on because I was excited. Because I love the original Sauvage and I love the perfume, Eau de Parfum, and I didn't know if I was going to get the Eau de Parfum anytime soon because I thought we were broke at the time, but we were just starting to bought a house and everything, so it was. But I didn't know we had as much money as we had because she kept track of all that, not me. She was way better at it. So yeah, I mean, these are things, and they're all good memories for the most part. Like I said, a couple mixed memories, but yeah. So that's how I work, guys. So that's why sometimes you might see me go off a bit on a video, be like, I gotta take a second and just let the memories, and it's fraction of a second, like boom, 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 that's it. But in that 2 or 3 seconds, there's 20 fucking images that pop in my head and feelings. So it can be distracting. But yeah. Anyway, that was just how I work. So yeah, maybe a wee bit on the spectrum, I don't know, but that's okay if I am. Most of us are, believe it or not. If you took time to do the test, you find that most of us, like 90% of us, are a wee bit on a spectrum. So, yeah. So let me know, did scents work like that for you? Is it? It can be images too. Like I said, just because it's scents for me doesn't mean, but it seems to be scents for most people. Smells. But it could be images, sounds. Some people listen to a song from when they were a kid and they get the goose pimples like I get, not from music, but from cologne. And they get them feelings and them images. Some songs do it to me, but it's like I said, and some images do it for me, but it's mostly scents. So just tell me how you guys work, or is it just none of that happens and you just like the smell of something? That's cool too. You don't have to be on the spectrum like me. All right, guys. Peace, love, be good to each other.